Hey guys, welcome to today's vlog. It is Wednesday, June 17th. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon, and today's video is going to be a Q&A. This is actually going up the same day that I'm filming it. I posted on Instagram last night, which if you don't follow me, I'll put my name. You can go follow me if you want to. I posted there last night just saying that, like, I feel like I've been in a rut with, I guess, just like quarantine and not having a job yet and not being in nursing school and like nothing really going on, and quarantine's like being lifted currently, but I just feel weird about going out, and like there's not a lot to do. Yes, like gyms are starting to reopen. You can like, sorry, my glasses are dirty. Like Target's open, the mall is open. I don't know if all the stores are open, but most. But like the movie theater's not open, which that's something I would go do. And yeah, just like with not having school, I tend to not go out a lot anyway. I'm just kind of more of a homebody. And like Connor's not here, so I don't have him to do stuff with. My friends all work and I don't have a job yet, so I'm just in this weird space where like I don't know what to film, but I'm trying to stick to this Monday, Wednesday, Saturday upload schedule that I have because I'm really committed to it, and I like posting regularly, but I don't know what to post about because I feel like my days are the same every day. So things just feel weird. But anyway, I posted on here on my Instagram and asked you guys what kind of content you'd want to see, just because I felt like I was in a rut and like just would appreciate any ideas that you had. And y'all came up with the best ideas. I was like so blown away. And a bunch of people ended up sending in like specific questions, so I put a separate box and asked you guys to send me specific questions. And then a bunch of people started sending in questions specifically regarding Connor's deployment, our marriage, like military stuff. So I'm going to be doing a separate Q&A just on those type of questions. All the questions today are just going to be random, other than anything military related. That will be in another video, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. The first question is best shoes for nurses. I honestly don't have a good answer for this. The shoes that I used all through my nursing program, which was like 3 years worth of clinical, my school required that we wear all leather white shoes for our part of our clinical uniform, which I hated, but that's what they required. So I got mine from Nursemates. I think they were called like the Align or something like that. I'll try and link them below if I can find them. They lasted me almost all the way through the end. Toward the end, where like the leather on the toe meets like the rubber part of the sole, like the front of the shoe, started to separate a little bit. I still could wear them, but they were separating. But otherwise, they lasted me all 3 years, and they were great. They were comfortable, they were fine, they got the job done, they met my school's requirements. But would I go out of my way to buy more white leather shoes? Probably not. I think going into nursing, I'm probably just gonna get like Adidas or something, depending on what like my hospital's policy is. And then I'll definitely keep you guys updated on which ones I end up liking. But if you are looking for shoes, like just for now, those are what I used all through clinical, and they were fine. Tips for people starting nursing school. I have an entire video on like 10 things I wish I knew before nursing school. I'll link it up here. You can go check it out. That's that. What was the hardest part about nursing school? I think the hardest part for me was saying no to my friends and like saying no to social things. I'm somebody that, if you know anything about Enneagrams, I'm an Enneagram 2, and I think I'm a Wing 1, still trying to figure that out. Basically, I get a lot of my self-worth and value from helping others, and like making sure everybody else is happy isn't great. I'm working on like finding my own self-worth in myself and not just pleasing everybody all the time. But I'm also a perfectionist, so I feel really guilty when I tell people no, or I feel like I'm letting people down, or like I'm not good enough for people. And so I think the hardest part for me was saying no to my friends, because I had to stay home and study, or I had a test the next day, or clinical, or whatever. There were multiple summers that Connor and I's big friend group would go on camping trips, and I couldn't go because I had school, and it sucked, and I just felt so guilty for telling people that like, no, Abby's gonna be the only one that's not coming. I just felt bad. So I think that was honestly the hardest part for me, was saying no to that kind of stuff and feeling like I was letting people down, even though I probably wasn't. They probably like weren't that impacted by it. It was just me feeling that way. Sucked. Next question, how to get into nursing in high school. So I don't really know when, I don't know if it varies state to state or it's a national thing. I'm not sure when you can get your CNA license, but I would look into that. If you could get that in high school, that'd be awesome. I think the biggest thing to focus on in high school is just getting good grades, especially in like the sciences. If you can take AP classes and like get credits knocked out, I say freaking go for it. I know some schools offer college credit if you can do that. Anything to really like boost your GPA that's going to look great on an application for nursing programs is amazing. Any volunteer work you can do. If you have any sort of experience in healthcare, even if it's as a volunteer, you could apply to be a volunteer at a hospital. That would look great on an application to nursing school. Something else that I would recommend is when you're looking into programs, like when you're graduating high school and looking to go to college, I would look into nursing programs that will grandfather you in. There's a school here in Colorado, I don't know if other schools do it, but when I was in high school, I was torn between nursing and teaching, and ultimately I initially went the teaching route, so I didn't do what I'm about to tell you about, but I did apply to a nursing program here in Colorado, and I applied as a like going into my freshman year of college, and they said, okay, if you come to our school, which I was accepted, start your prerequisites as a freshman at our school, you'll automatically be accepted into the nursing program. You don't have to like separately apply. Other schools, if you do your prerequisites at like a community college, which is totally fine. I did some of mine at a community college and then transfer to a 4-year university to get your bachelor's, or whichever way you do it. You have to apply separately to the nursing program, so you have to get into the university once, like apply and get in once, and then apply again for the nursing program. So if you can find a school that will just let you into the nursing program as a freshman, I highly recommend that, because it's so much stress that you don't have to worry about. You can just like start the program and not have to worry about applying and getting in, and yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I wish I would have done it at the time. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, so I didn't go that route, but if that's something you could do, I would totally do it. Okay, next question. What is the biggest tip you have for someone who has anxiety about dosage calc? Girl, I totally relate to this. Dosage calc is freaking hard and freaking stressful. So I definitely recommend taking your time, slowing down, really reading the question. I felt like a lot of the times the mistakes you make are not because you don't know how to do the math. It's because you're going too fast and you're not really paying attention to what it's asking you. So read the question multiple times. Make sure you are answering for the math specific that it's asking. So if it's asking for like how many doses in a day, that you add up all the doses that you calculated into, like add it up across a day and put that in. Or if it's asking for just one dose, or if it's asking for teaspoons or tablespoons versus ounces or mLs, whatever it's asking for, just make sure you're really answering that. So take your time on that. Take deep breaths. You can do it. Practice, obviously, if you feel like you really need help with the math portion, just seek out practice questions, but I really think slowing down is the biggest tip. Keto is pretty controversial. Can you explain medically why you've chosen it? So something that I want to clarify with this question is I am not strict keto. Some people are. I'm not one of those people. I'm not like super, I don't eat a ton of fats like a lot of people in keto do. I eat a generous amount, yeah, I'd say like a moderate to a high amount of protein, which people that are in keto don't do, because eating too much protein can get you out of ketosis. So I'm really not super keto. I'm just lower carb, if that makes sense. So if you guys don't know, I'm gluten-free for health reasons. I have to be. So going gluten-free kind of led me to be low carb unintentionally, because I cut out, instead of buying gluten-free replacements, I just completely cut out like bread, pastas, baked goods, cookies, crackers, like all that stuff. And so doing that led me to cutting out a ton of processed carbs. So I still eat carbs. I don't want people to think that I don't eat them, because I do. I just eat vegetables, which tend to have a lot of fiber in them. Fruits, I sometimes eat. I'm not a huge fruit person, but occasionally I'll eat fruit. And yeah, so I'm lower carb, but I'm not totally keto. Now, the reason why you're probably thinking I am is because I drink ketones, which put your body into ketosis, which is the whole benefit of a keto diet, without you having to eat a keto diet. So you can drink these ketone drinks that I drink and put your body into ketosis, which is beneficial, without eating a keto diet. And I think the two main controversies with keto is people think you're going to get DKA, which is diabetic ketoacidosis, or you're cutting out an entire food group, which they don't like. So I'll address both of those. With DKA, the ketones that I drink, you would have to drink so freaking many of them to get the ketones in your blood to a substantial enough level to get into DKA. So that seems extremely unlikely to me. There's not nearly enough in one little packet, or even multiple over a period of time, to equal the amount of ketones that would need to be in my blood to get into DKA. So obviously if you're diabetic, you probably shouldn't be drinking these. I tell everybody to consult their doctor before taking them. There's something I feel comfortable drinking, but that's just my personal choice. There's actually a lot of research in the keto diet being really beneficial for people with insulin resistance and PCOS. I just recommend doing your research on things. Just because people say that it's not a good way to eat doesn't mean that's true, or just because people say it is a good way to eat doesn't mean that's true. Certain things work for certain people, certain things are good for certain people that aren't for others. One of the controversies is the DKA portion. I think the other controversy is everyone's like, oh my gosh, how could you cut out an entire food group? Carbs aren't bad, like don't do that. I agree. I don't cut out an entire food group. I don't think carbs are bad either. I personally just tend to not eat them anyway because I'm gluten-free, and so obviously I could eat gluten-free bread, and sometimes I do. I could eat gluten-free cake, which sometimes I do. But a lot of those things tend to be lower sugar anyway, which makes them lower carb, because a lot of carbs are sugars. Sorry, my dog is dreaming and barking in her sleep. Mama! So I am not cutting out an entire food group. I still eat vegetables. I still eat fruit occasionally. I still eat carbs. It's not that I don't. I just eat carbs that have a lot of fiber in them or aren't processed carbs, because I don't eat a lot of pasta and bread and grains and those kinds of things, but just because I can't for my health. So that's why I've chosen it for me, but I don't consider myself full on keto either. I just drink ketones and eat lower carb. I hope that makes sense. Okay, did you have a hard time staying disciplined in nursing school? I think, sorry if you can hear my dog, she's snoring again. I think occasionally, I wouldn't say all the time, but yeah, I mean, there are definitely off days when it's hard to stay on task and the last thing you want to do is study, especially towards the end of a semester, or like me, the end of my senior year was rough, and that's totally normal. It's okay, just give yourself breaks when you need them, you know, take a couple hours a day for yourself. Daisy. Days. So yeah, it can be hard to stay disciplined, but just give yourself breaks when you need to. Take time to yourself to kind of like create more of a balance and recognize that it's okay to feel like you're slipping sometimes. It's totally normal. Okay, next question. Is the saying of sleep, social life, good grades, you only get to pick 2 in nursing school true? So I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but there's this saying that is, there's sleep, there's good grades, and there's a social life, and you can only pick 2 of them. So you can either have sleep and good grades, sleep and a social life, good grades and a social life, good grades, I don't know. Basically, you get the point. You can't have all 3 of them. So yes and no. It kind of depends. I mean, sometimes I felt like I could have all 3. Sometimes I felt like I couldn't. There are definitely times when I sacrificed sleep and had good grades because of it. There are times when I sacrificed sleep and I still didn't have good grades. There are times when I had to sacrifice my social life because I was really tired and wanted to sleep, or had to stay home and study. So I think yes and no. I think you can have all 3 if you balance your time, but at the same time, there's obviously always going to be certain circumstances that are just unavoidable, and yes, you're only going to be able to pick 2. If you weren't going to be a nurse, what would you be doing as a job / pursuit? Honestly, I don't know. Like I said, I'm an Enneagram 2, if you know anything about Enneagram. They're like very servant people. So I really like to serve others. I really think like once Connor and I had kids, if I wasn't a nurse, that I'd probably be staying home, which potentially when we have kids, I might even like drop my hours down, but still full-time's only 3 days a week, so maybe not. But I think like being a stay-at-home mom, I'd love to stay home with our kids. I'd love to like be able to take care of the house and have food ready when Connor gets home. Like I am that stereotypical housewife. Like I would love to do that stuff. That's just who I am, and I just like doing it. And if that's not you, that's okay. I don't expect everyone to be this way, but that's how I am. Like I love when Connor comes home and I've cleaned the house and I've done the laundry and there's dinner in the oven. Like it just makes me feel so fulfilled, even if he doesn't care about those things, which he does. But even if he didn't appreciate it, I do. Like I just love doing that for other people. So probably something with that, and probably YouTube. YouTube's something that I wanted to do literally since high school. Like I remember watching the OG YouTube when like there were no vloggers. That was not a thing. And then slowly like the beauty community started to arise, and I really wanted to be a part of it, and I was just afraid. But I really wanted to be a part of it, and I was just too nervous to ever jump into it. And so I think if nursing wasn't a thing, I think I would definitely be pursuing this and social media and Instagram and stuff kind of like I am right now. Okay, next question. Aw, Lauren, my friend Lauren asked a question. She said, what is your favorite hobby? I think right now my favorite hobby It's either reading. I'm really loving reading for fun, which is something I never did in nursing school. I was a huge reader as a kid. But in nursing school, I just let reading go to the side because I spent enough time reading a textbook. I did not want to read for fun. But now I'm loving it. So that's really fun. And then something else that I've taken up is exercising outside. I'm really enjoying. I think I talked about this in the last vlog, but I recently downloaded an app called OpenFit. If you want to know more about it, you can head to that vlog and watch it because I described it in depth there. But it's super awesome. I'm like freaking hooked on it. I did a 14-day free trial, and I ended up paying for the year subscription. I think it was like 96 bucks for the whole year, which is super cheap compared to a gym membership. That only would cover like a couple months worth of a gym membership. So I'm really loving it. So I think exercising outside has been really fun. Through quarantine, I've had to find ways to get creative, and I really don't like working out at home, but like going on walks and just doing stuff outdoors has been a lot of fun for me. I love getting fresh air, and especially in the summertime, it's so nice. Okay, next question. How long did it take for you to receive the ATT email? So if you know what that is about, the ATT is your authorization to test, and that's something you have to get that email approving you to take the NCLEX basically, or to schedule the NCLEX. And I got mine in like 24 hours, which is crazy fast. I don't think most people get it that fast from what I've seen. I think it can take a couple weeks, but yeah, I got mine in like a day. How far are you willing to drive for an RN position? So honestly, like, I think I'm the outlier in this situation. A lot of my friends are like, oh no, I want to like work really close to home. I don't want to drive super far, like more than like 20 minutes. They're not willing to drive. I would drive like over an hour, maybe an hour, a little bit over an hour for a nursing position. If it was the right hospital and it was a busy hospital, which is what I want, like I would love to be in like a downtown city busy unit. If it was like that and it was an environment that I felt like I was really going to learn in, and like that job was going to be worth the commute, yeah, I would drive for it. Because like I want to be busy, I want to learn, especially as a new nurse. I want to get like as much out of this thing as I can. So hardest class of nursing school for me, pharmacology for sure. Study tips, I have a whole video on how I studied in nursing school. I'll link it up here. How old is Daisy? Is she your dog or your family's dog? She is 5 and she is my dog. Actually, she's 5.5 now. Her birthday's like 2 days away from mine, so she's like 5.5. Best and worst moments of nursing school. Best moments are definitely the moments with my friends, like the silly moments, like the inside jokes, the times we ate lunch in the cafeteria, like all of just like our little bonding times. 100%. Worst moments, probably just the struggle, like the mental challenge that nursing school can bring. It can be really hard and really draining and like really just test you as a person. What is your dream job? Absolutely the NICU. 100% all day, every day. Neonatal ICU. Give me all the sick babies. Best coffee machine? Have you tried the Nespresso machine? I don't know what the best coffee machine is. We just have a Keurig, which it works fine, but I'm not like a coffee connoisseur. My parents have an espresso, and there was an espresso machine in the suite that Connor and I were in for our honeymoon, and it's bomb. It's so good. So I mean, the Nespresso might be the best coffee machine. I haven't tried anything that I like better, but it's amazing. Maybe I'll get one day because they're delicious. Are you nervous remembering medications, reactions, toxicity, interactions, etc.? Oh yeah, absolutely. I hate pharm. I hate it. But I think something to keep in mind is, yes, pharm is very overwhelming. And it's especially overwhelming when you're in school because you're expected to know every med all the time. Like kids, adults, everything, which is overwhelming. When you work as a nurse, even if you choose med-surg, you still are specializing in med-surg. So you're really not going to see pediatric medications. You're not going to see OB medications. More than likely. You're not going to see, you know, unless you're on an oncology floor, you're not going to see chemo because you have to be chemo certified to give chemo. So wherever you work, even if it's med-surg is still specializing in some ways, right? Because you see stereotypical medical surgical patients. I think something to remember is that you have resources as a nurse. You can look up medications in Epic or whatever software that your hospital uses. You can check all that stuff before giving anything. It's super intimidating as a student, but as an actual nurse, there's really not nearly as many drugs that you're going to be working with than you are as a student, if that makes sense. Because like in OB, you really only work with OB meds. You might see occasional extra things based on extra diagnosis patients have, but in OB, it isn't like you're seeing all these chemo meds, so it's not the same. I wouldn't stress about it too much, but yes, it's stressful. I hate pharm. Tips for good clinical experience. ask questions. Ask as many questions as you can. Pick your nurse's brain. Don't be afraid to feel like you're asking too many questions. I would rather, like, as both a student myself and working with other nurses, and now that I'm a nurse, I would much rather have a student that asks a million questions, even if they're stupid. Just ask them. Like, I would prefer you want to know more than just sitting around acting like you don't care. Definitely ask questions and go in willing to absorb everything anyone wants to teach you. Even if you've seen it a million times, act like it's the first time you've ever seen it and be totally interested, because every clinical you have is a job interview, essentially, is the way I would look at it, because you never know who's going to hire you. You never know who's going to remember you from a clinical. If you make a bad impression, that's probably not going to be a great place for you to want to interview later. Just try and make the best impression you can. Act excited, even if you're not. Pretend that you are. Ask all the questions and just try and absorb as much information as you can. How do you manage stress? For me, exercise is the biggest stress reliever, even if it's just going on a walk outside, getting the fresh air, being in the sunshine, hearing the birds chirp. Oh my gosh, totally changes my whole world. I freaking, yeah. Advice for incoming nursing students. I start in September. Congratulations, that is so exciting. I seriously feel like I was in your shoes yesterday. Like, I just got the email with my acceptance letter. Congratulations, that's so amazing, so exciting. It's gonna be a journey, it's gonna be a whirlwind. You're gonna have hard days, you're gonna have great days, and that's okay. Just remember, especially in the beginning, you're not expected to know everything. It may feel like you are, but you're not. You're a student, you're learning. It's okay to ask questions, it's okay to mess up. If there's any time to mess up, it's now while you're a student. Just remember that. Do your best. You can do it. I have all the faith in you, and I'm so excited for you. Is there anything you want to tell your first semester nursing student self? Oh my goodness. What would I tell myself in the beginning? That it's gonna freaking fly by. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I made the absolute best friends in nursing school. I love my nursing school family so much. Like, those girls and I are like friggin' this. It's a journey. It's a freaking journey. And I just wish I could go back and tell myself to, like, appreciate all of it. Soak up all the moments, even when it's freaking stressful. Like, you're gonna get through it. It's gonna end one day. And some days I wish I could go back. That's crazy. But yeah, I wish I could tell myself to just slow down and appreciate it all. And oh, that's crazy. How many nursing schools did you apply to? Well, really only one, because I took the prerequisites at the school that I went to. And by doing that, it was one of those situations where they kind of just grandfathered you in. I still had to apply, and I still had to get into the nursing program, but you got like preferential selection, so like they would choose you over a student that didn't do their prerequisites there, if that makes sense. So that's really the only nursing program I applied to. I applied to a community college to do prereqs for the nursing program, but not for the program itself. Okay, and then last question, what is one thing you wish someone told you before starting nursing school that you know now? Oh goodness, I think I wish someone told me to not be afraid to look stupid. I think that I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I want to be perfect all the time, and I would hold myself back from trying skills in clinical that I validated on, so I knew how to do them, but I would just hold myself back from putting myself out there. And so I wish I'd been more confident. So I would tell you to go into clinical being more confident, because that's something a lot of my clinical instructors told me in the beginning, was that I had great potential and I had great patient interaction, but I needed to advocate for myself more and just put myself out there and take opportunities and not wait for opportunities to present themselves, to like take the initiative and be like, yeah, I want to do that. I think that's something I wish I'd known going into clinical, was to advocate for yourself. Don't wait for those opportunities to come to you. Go seeking them out. And like, if a patient down the hall is going for a procedure that you've never seen, even if it's not your patient, ask your nurse if you can go. And go watch whatever's happening. Like, there's so many cool things going on in the hospital that maybe aren't happening to your patient, but are happening on your unit. And if nothing's going on with your patient, ask if you can go. Half the time they're like, heck yeah, go. Like, just come back when you're done. And it's awesome. So definitely in clinical, I wish people had told me to put myself out there more, because once I started doing it, I saw so much more and did so much more. So don't be afraid. Advocate for yourself and prove to people that you want to learn and you want to see as much as you can, and freaking go for it. Okay guys, so I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be doing a second part to this Q&A that is like strictly colonized relationship, marriage, deployment, military life, all of that stuff separately, and that should be up on Saturday. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys then. Bye guys!